So the last group I'm going to share with you are the Ciguayos. So the Ciguayos actually lived in the kingdom of Magua, which is this in the blue right here. They dominated that area, and they were best known as being fearsome warriors. Both men and women were skillful and very trained at using bows and arrows, and this was something renowned on the island. So their name, from what Pedro Martí, and they didn't cultivate the earth, but they lived also in caves. They were known for being very tall, much taller than the other Taínos on the island, and they were known for having a beautiful physique, or physically. They were very handsome. They occupied the whole eastern side of the island, including La Península de Samaná. Las Casas gives a little bit of a different reason why they were named Ciguayos. He says that it's because they had very long hair. Very similar to how Spanish women carried their hair, which was very long down their backs. So los ceremonies, this is a representation of one of them, again, were one of the greatest warriors on the island. So being on the peninsula of Samaná, they needed their function to protect the island from the invasion of the Caribs. Caribs had an interesting way of fighting. So what they would do would be that they would come on both sides of the peninsula, because the peninsula, as you know, is basically a bit of land that has water on three sides, but not the fourth side. So they would come around both sides of the peninsula, and whatever was in the middle, that's what they would attack. So the Samaníes, Ciguayo warriors, took their job, their function so seriously to such an extreme that this is what they ended up doing. They ended up walking backwards. So they would walk backwards in order to be able to constantly look at the sea, since that's where the Caribs would invade from. And it's from the Ciguayos that we get the legend of La Ciguapa. So as many of you probably have heard of the myth of La Ciguapa, which is a woman who with very long hair but has her feet backwards. So when men would encounter her, they would obviously be spooked because she would come out at night and it was obvious she wasn't human. But as they ran, they would see that her feet were supposedly going away from them, when in actuality, because they're on backwards, she was walking towards them. The Ciguayos were directed by women. Their society was matriarchal, and the women were also known as great warriors, as medicine women. So what did they look like physically? So we know that the Ciguayos had long hair. That was one of their traits, one of their identifying traits. And we know that for example, the Macorise wore their hair short, just like the main Taino culture did as well. Both men and women wore their hair short, but the women wore it right above the shoulder. By all accounts, they were about this skin tone, not very dark, not very light or brown. However, we also know that a certain group of them, especially from where Anacaona was from, were lighter toned. We have several accounts where the Spanish were amazed at how light they were. The same as the men. The men were also very light-skinned.